Tony Dunn, and nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Should the Panthers play their starters in the preseason opener? Is Bryce Young getting preferential treatment? And dang, Mingo Bingo may be back because he's cracking the starting lineup right now. You're listening to the C3 Panthers Podcast. It's Tuesday, 9 p.m. We're chopping up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective each and every week. I do it with my homeboy, my wheelman, Cody Lack. How are you?
Tony Dunn, listen, man, me and Dave Canales are of a like mind. And I love what we're doing by not playing Bryce Young in the preseason opener. A lot of people have been very vocal about this, Tony. You know I'm going to be one of the most vocal about it. I've been a proponent of that for a long time. We're going to talk about some of the lack of deep shots that we're still not seeing from training camp. We have a brand new Hall of Famer in the Carolina Panthers lore. You all know him and love him. His name is Julius Peppers. And we're going to talk about Xavier Legette being listed as a second stringer. Is this cause for concern? Tony Dunn, there's no ever reason to be concerned because we're going to do it with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. Damn it, you already know him and love him. It's our guy, Panther Pickle, AJ Brooks, Black Fire, the brand ambassador, Diesel Skills, C3 Doug, Trouble with the Duba, Daniel Berry Sports Highlight, Kristen Butler. What's up, Kristen? Matt Knows Nothing. My bro D, Panther Gal 73, PBG, the real C3AP, Tim Estes, and your bastard son, White Chocolate Espresso, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number is 252-228-5098. You can get your thoughts on the C3 Panthers Podcast. Are you more concerned about Xavier Legette's foot and kind of lingering issues that he's been dealing with, lower leg issues? Is that raising eyebrows more than his depth chart status? CK in the house. What's up, my friend?
Oh, we're just doing the thing. Here we are, 2 days away from Panthers football. Now, whether it's starters or not, I know they're still debating on who else will be playing in that game. But man, we are 2 days away from watching the Panthers play football. So if you're not excited about that, if that's not something that gets you going, gets your blood pressure going up, I don't know what else to tell you, man. We've waited all off season. We've been sitting here in the gutter, just sitting, waiting for an opportunity to show that this team is better than 2-15. And this is the beginning of that ability for us to start that process. So, man, I'm happy to be here. And last show that we have to worry about not being able to talk about what we're seeing on the field.
I know. Praise the football.
Thank God. Yeah,
baby.
thank God. I saw somebody talking about we don't provide any analysis on this show, and I was like, what is there to analyze right now? It's like, I mean, of course, all we're doing is just talking about, well, hey, look, that's our style.
It's also funny because this season we're also going to be doing in-depth breakdowns of the all 22, just like we did last year. So come on, man. We're going to keep you covered from every single angle here on the C3 Panthers Podcast.
I'm kind of with White Chocolate Espresso on this, Greg, as CK talked about getting your blood pumping. I don't know what it is about last season. And I mean, because I guess the season felt so over while the season was still going on in a way.
Right.
On top of that, it's just like been, I don't know. To me, this has been one of the stranger off seasons, and not that like the news or anything. Like, I don't know. It's just like my own attitude, and it's just, I feel like I don't know. It's like this also took forever to get here, but at the same time, I almost feel like, God, is it really here? I don't know what it's like. This is like, I think it's daunting to me. Mm-hmm. Panthers taking the field.
Yeah. Well, this is where all our predictions are going to come to a point where we're going to find out whether what you were saying about Bryce and the team, or the coaches and the team, is true or not. I mean, we're going to finally start to see the work they've put in, whether it's productive or not, whether this offensive line is rebuilt, whether these wide receivers are giving Bryce more time or more separation to throw the ball. So it's a lot more exciting than the lull that we've had for the last few months, debating on it back and forth with really no information to go off of. Now we're actually going to have film and stuff to study, and it's going to be a whole lot more fun. I'm really more excited for fantasy football right now at the moment until the Panthers show me that they give me something to be excited about. We got some stuff to talk about tonight about the preseason, and I think I'm going to be a little bit on the opposite end of some of the things Cody has to say, but I mean, what's new?
Yeah. Hey,
go, baby. Let's have
diversity
fun.
opinions. The number's 252-228-5098. Smash that thumbs up button, subscribe. We are so close to 6,000
No,
subscribers.
Tony, no. So close doesn't even cut it, dude. We are literally, and I mean this very literally, one subscriber away from 6,000. So
we were one subscriber the other night away from 6,000. My friend subscribed to it. I saw it hit 6,000. Then I woke up the next morning and 2 people had unsubscribed.
And you know what? It wasn't meant to be. Someone right now watching the pod can be our 6,000th subscriber on YouTube. Tony, I remember the days when you and I, for a while, it was just me and you fighting to get to 1,000. So we've come a long way.
Was it that far? Was it 1,000?
Dude, I remember when we were trying to get to 1,000, dude. So,
holy cow!
That is, it's an honor to be here with you boys. The C3 Legion.
It's crazy how hard it is to get 6,000 subscribers.
I know, dude, but we've been grinding. I'm proud of us. I'm proud of this fan base. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell for every single time the C3 Panthers podcast goes.
All right, so Thursday night preseason game. What time is that? 7:30?
Yeah, 7:00.
Okay. I guess, Greg, what I was talking about with like the loom, is it here? Is it feel far away? I feel like I'm about to go on my first date after being, say you were divorced and you weren't. You have been married for a long time. It's just like this season seems like a first date for someone who is strangely not accustomed to dating. And I'm nervous. I'm fucking nervous, dude.
It's uncharted territory.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of charted territory, the Panthers put out a depth chart this week.
What a segue, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Let's pull that up and see what they got here. We're going to, I guess, start with that. Or are we going to talk preseason?
Yeah, we're gonna start with that. That was one of the more relevant bits of information to come out recently. This depth chart for the Carolina Panthers, and we'll start with offense. And this was one of the ones that sort of made the most headlines, right? And primarily because our very own Xavier Legette is listed amongst the second team. He is listed behind Jonathan Mingo, who continues to impress and be great at camp.
I like this, to be honest.
All right. Everybody had a lot of opinions about this. For the most part, everybody was pretty, in agreement that, hey, he's a young player and he's still trying to learn the NFL game and speed. But I'm not too concerned about this. What say y'all?
I like this a lot because I think the mistake we made last year as a team was to basically pin in Jonathan Mingo as a starter from training camp on. And I like the idea of these rookies, getting a chance. He's going to get play time. There's going to be somebody that gets injured or misses some plays. I don't know. I think it helps them ease into the game more. And if you want to talk about, I guess because certain skill positions are easier than others and different things, a lot of people have strong opinions about rookie quarterbacks sitting a year and learning the game. I just like this. It's because Mingo, I think a lot of it wasn't, I think he was a little in over his head last year, but the whole team was in over their head. The coaching staff was in over their head. He's a second-year player, and I think he deserves the shot, and Legette's got to earn it, right? But this is actually good news, I think, and I think CK had talked about this couple of weeks ago, right? CK is like the best thing you could have is Mingo becoming a promising player and Leggett becoming a promising player because you got them on their rookie contracts.
I mean, you basically have, you have Thielen and, Deontay Johnson here for one more year.
Yeah.
And again, I don't mean to beat a dead horse here, but if either of them balls out, we're not getting them again on this team next year.
Right.
We can't afford it. We can't afford to pay the wide receiver contracts that they're paying to high-end wide receivers right now. And so our best case scenario is Jonathan Mingo and Xavier Leggett showing that they can be 1 and 2 in this offense. Yeah. And that is what you're hoping for with what we see from the preseason into the season, whether Leggett actually gets started off running on this team as a starter, or if he's somebody who's eased into that. If we can see both of these guys play at a high level, I think, and then Jatavian Sanders. I mean, if you think about it, all of the offensive weapons that we had drafted this year and last year are all we need on this wide receiver. Are all we need as far as like weapons for a wide receiver, for a quarterback, if they can all turn out to be good. Now that's a big if, right? We're talking about a very likely outcome where half, if not more of them are going to be considered busts, if you will. But I think we got to keep in mind it is a fantastic situation that Jonathan Mingo is slotted in there as the wide receiver 2 at this point in time.
Yeah, we're definitely bringing. I think it's 2 because Adam Thielen's going to be in the slot,
right?
So it's the 2 outside receivers. I think he's listed as outside receiver, and then Thielen would be the slot receiver. We're bringing Mingo back this year. We were we're on the fence about it because it was a great idea last year, but it also took the entire season for the card to get almost it was impossible to get that damn bingo. Yeah. Now, what I really like about, not only is it the best case scenario that you're talking about, but Mingo could, if he somehow pans out this year and continues to pan out, he could be a metaphorical symbol for the Panthers turning around their failed draft history. Because if he pulls it out, you get a second rounder who becomes a player. Then you get Leggett. Like if some of these things happen, like you're talking about, CK, that could really change the long-term trajectory of a team.
Yeah. I mean, you have these guys for at least the next 3-4 years on a very affordable contract. Obviously, you're going to have these guys probably trying to get into a more higher paying contract before their rookie contracts are up. But that's just an extension on what they're currently, when they usually do that, it's not taking away the rookie contract. It's just getting them locked in for the years following. That's what we did with CMC. So you're 100% right. That is the absolute best outcome. And that can allow us to build this defense the way we wanted to as well.
Cody, if this was to work out like we're talking about, this is how you need a team to have success. Mm-hmm. They have to find success not only through the draft, but in trades and free agent acquisition. But the Panthers have not had a winning season now in 6 seasons, right? And you could see there's some parallels that have gone on, right? Or some commonalities. One is you're only hitting one maybe draft pick a year, right? How do you build sustained success when you can only get one good player out of the draft per year? And they haven't had money or the ability to court free agents. And so I think this is like a way to kind of really start. Mingo is symbolic to the Panthers of turning things around, because guess what, Panther fans? A lot of y'all mugs just wrote him off.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
I mean, I wasn't thrilled with him after last year. Right. I mean, I wasn't out there singing his praises. I was out there.
Shouldn't. There was no reason to.
Yeah. And I was probably a little more harsh on him, and I was in agreement with Cody when he would say that he deserves a pass, just like, if we're going to give Bryce that pass. And so I've always been a proponent, just like I have been with Icky, that you've got to give these guys an opportunity to be the players that they were drafted to be. It's not going to happen out of the gate. And he wasn't considered a ready to play pro football wide receiver in this league when he came out of college. It was always going to be a progression. Yeah. And we were just hoping that it would be a lot quicker and we wouldn't see a lot of the the failures we saw last year. Those failures, by the way, so far in training camp have been all but eliminated. His route running has been crisp. His ability, his focus and staying energetic on every play, making sure he stays alive and keeps himself being an active target for Bryce when things break down. Like, that's something that we didn't see from him last year. It was often that we would see him just give up on a play. He'd not realize Bryce needs an extra outlet, and he's just sitting there just kind of walking back, right? That's not something we've seen so far. And I think that's a proponent of something that Tony talked about, and that is this effort and this finishing every play that Dave Canales has been coaching these guys up on.
Shout out to Diesel Skills, who says, I'll say it. Sorry, Mingo.
Well, you don't have to apologize just yet.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is a little bit early, but I think the reason why, and then I'll pass the mic to Greg, is that if you had any trepidations about Jonathan Mingo, it was based on what you saw in year one. And you all made the point that these players are not coming out of college fully polished NFL products. They just aren't. And that's why you shouldn't be upset about Xavier Legette being on the second string, because we saw how difficult and how tough a time Jonathan Mingo had acclimating to the speed of the NFL game. Now you see what that offseason has done for him. Another thing I think you have to remember too is that a lot of these college players, they're jumping right into the NFL process as soon as they're done with their college season. Mm-hmm. So they jump right into the combine, right into the meetings, right into the pro days. Then you're on the team. Then you have a very short break, and then you're back into training camp. Like, this is a very, very long year for them, their rookie year. So have a little bit of lenience on them. I love how he holds himself to a higher standard. He has been the one that's been very vocally critical of himself. And I like that about him. And that says that he wants to build and continue to grow at the position. So I'm happy with what we're seeing. And I think with the addition of Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen coming back, Mingo starting to emerge, we're a little bit deeper than maybe we thought we were.
Look, I really like y'all's enthusiasm, but it's wet blanket time. You guys do see the flaw in your logic, right?
Wet beard.
I don't know. Well, we'll see where I was wrong at.
Okay, you can't have Johnson and Thielen and who was the other third receiver that we were saying? Mingo. No, that wasn't the third receiver. We were talking about Mingo.
XL.
No.
So anyway, the depth chart is this. Here are the starters.
You can't have Johnson and Thielen ball out and have Mingo and XL show they can be number one receivers. The two can't happen at the same time.
Well, I don't think they have to show us that they are a number one receiver this year. Not number one. I think what they have to show us is promise.
They're capable of it.
Right,
but they're capable of being pro receivers, yeah.
But they can't even show you they're capable of carrying the team. Let's say Thielen and Johnson ball out, and they do next year.
Thielen's slot. Okay. Thielen's going to be a slot receiver. So Mingo will be out on the field at 100% of the time that he's considered the starter.
I'm just saying, if those two guys ball out and they leave, right, and XL and Mingo haven't had the opportunity to get those 1 and 2 reps to be the number 1 and 2 guys, there's no way they can just all of a sudden step up and be the 1 and 2 guys and be as productive as we'd like for them to be as 1 and 2 guys.
They're going to get a lot of reps this year. Like that, the idea that they won't, I think, is just because you see the depth chart and the 1, 2, and 3. And by the way, I think Tony was alluding to this. Mingo is wide receiver 2, and then it's because there's a different position. It's the slot position for Thielen. Right. So Mingo is going to get those opportunities based on this depth chart right now for sure. And I can tell you
somebody's going to get injured. They're going to get some time. And the good news is, though, is you might, Greg, maybe we don't need both of them to show it this year.
Right.
Right. If Mingo could show it, and then, I mean, what if Legette comes in and is a pleasant surprise when he does get his, not pleasant, but a high impact player
welcomed
in the game. Yeah. Is all of a sudden, you're trying to sit here and go, maybe we should be trying to have Mingo, Legette, and Deontay Johnson on the field instead of it's like Thielen. I mean, he's getting older. His
It
thing
allows
is
you to be
age.
versatile. You can
Yeah.
do a lot of different formations and with the different skill sets at receiver.
But I think what to Greg's point though is that we can't learn everything in a single season.
absolutely
We can't
not.
learn if Leggett is like, because there's so many mouths to feed, right? And so if Johnson, I guess I don't really think of Thielen balling out. Right. Thielen didn't ball out last year in a way. He just was
he had over
force-fed.
1,000 yards.
Yeah, but he was but if we went back and looked at the box scores,
actually
we don't what we can probably pull it look it up is that I don't think there was a receiver that had over 400 yards or 500 yards other than Thielen. Like it was Adam Thielen 10 catches a week.
Yeah.
For 89, 100, a lot of yards, but it was just like it was only him. So I don't think you look at him and go, "Oh man, Thielen's going to ball out." You just say he was a productive player when nobody else was.
Right.
I mean, I think the real threat is Deontay Johnson balling out.
Yeah, that's where I say, like, if he's Thielen is always going to be the outlet, and I think he's going to be utilized effectively. But I also think in Dave Canales' offense, I think Thielen will not be the primary go-to receiver. It's going to be those two on the outside between Mingo and Deontay Johnson. And Deontay Johnson right now is doing very well with route running. He needs to, obviously be a little bit more consistent with catching the ball. That's the concern a lot of people have with him. But Thielen, the idea that the balling out, I think he's going to be a consistent, he's going to be a consistent outlet, and he's going to always be somehow available for Bryce when plays start to break down. If this offensive line does not improve, I think Thielen is going to get a lot of action this year. Based on what we've seen so far in the training camp, that's been the concern of our offensive line. So I wouldn't call it balling out, like Tony said, because the way I look at it, he got a lot of opportunities because he was that guy who could find himself being open in those 5 to 10 yards. Intermediate routes.
Fair, that's what he was brought in last year to do.
Yeah.
We thought we were going to get so much more out of DJ Chark.
Kev put it up at 525 yards.
Yeah. So again, we thought that we were getting the best out of these other players, and we unequivocally got the worst of them, except for Adam Thielen. So he sort of had to fill that de facto X receiver role. But I mean, listen, they have Deontay Johnson at the X, Jonathan Mingo at the Y, and Thielen at Z. And I like that. To me, that seems to be what I would have probably what the smart money would have been on. I mean, they would have
Leggett, you could think.
Trust.
Yeah, I mean, Leggett's dealing with injury too, so that could have some stuff to do with it. And Mingo is they're not giving up on him. I did want to read this one comment though. I really like ERH Domex 4L. Mingo and XL don't have to show that they're number ones. They just have to execute their role at a high enough level, take advantage of their opportunities, and give you some kind of insight on if you could continue to build around those guys, because you are expecting Leggett to be a one day.
Yeah. I mean, you draft him in the first round, you trade up for him. He's got to be, right?
Yeah. And he looks it. He looks the damn part.
And you also know that Adam Thielen in a year or two is not going to be a part of this equation.
Oh, he's going to, this is last season, arguably in the NFL.
Season. Yeah, absolutely.
He might retire after this year.
Yeah. I mean, to me, this is all par for the course. And to me, I don't want to rush anyone in.
Let's peek at some of the.
I really don't feel like we're in a spot where we have to.
Right, I agree entirely. That's what I'm actually excited about it, because I think that's what we did wrong with Mingo. I mean, I think that we think Leggett is a better player already coming out of college.
Right.
But and this could change. They might. All right. So looking at this.
Well, I did have one more question before we moved on.
Okay.
Austin Corbett, he did a press conference, and he said that he found that people were making too much of a big deal his transition from guard to center. So basically, and more or less way of saying, hey, I got this shit on lock. You shouldn't worry about me playing center. And again, that this conversation has arisen yet again, because it looked like on a couple of plays during training camp. And again, man, the defense always has this advantage in these like non-scrimmage type of training camp plays. But the O-line has not looked good, to say the least, in training camp. So how is everyone feeling about center right now and that interior? I mean, are we comfortable with this moving forward, or is it still just too early to tell?
No, I'm comfortable. Did we see those one-on-one reps he had earlier today? Dude,
I think he was holding his own, right?
Oh, he was doing very well.
I think the other thing, I'm with Cody on this, or CK on this. No, I got no concern about Austin Corbett. Not no concern, but that's probably exaggerating. This is a great role for him to move into at this point of his career.
Yeah.
A really good,
a
really good offensive lineman that has been in the league, that knows technique, that, I'm saying, a good player, but you're moving into a position, I think, that also requires a little less out of you when it comes to just being a play. I don't know. I just feel like I feel like if you get a good center, they can play long into their career, more so than even a guard. Who is that going against? Is that 89? Who's 89?
This is Corbett and Shy Tuttle.
Oh, okay.
So, he has a good base. He has a good anchor. I mean, again, to me, moving from guard to tackle is a much bigger, tougher transition than moving one position over to center from guard. So,
I think you could almost be a little less athletic at center. Maybe I'm just making that up. Then you need to be.
Well, I mean, you also have the Jason Kelce's of the world that are incredibly athletic, that are moving downfield. Khalil was pretty athletic for a center in his day, too.
They rocked late into their careers. I feel like I hear more about centers going late into their careers than I hear about guards. I don't know. Maybe I'm just, this is all anecdotal in a way, but I'm hoping that this actually is a positive move for the longevity of Austin Corbett's career.
Yeah. You want to move to the defensive side of the ball here?
Go back real quick. I just wanted to point out this is Brady Christensen was listed as the backup right guard and third string center. You want to look at interest in Terrace Marshall Jr. They got him as a second stringer.
TMJ, listen.
Look at this Jordan Matthews thing here. Who are the tight ends? The tight ends, we got Ian Thomas, Tommy Tremble, Jatavian Sanders, Jordan Matthews. They signed a new tight end today, I think, or he was a kind of a nobody. How you feel about that tight end lineup? I don't think it's surprising. Tommy Tremble, Ian Thomas. Do they carry more than 3 tight ends on this roster? Is Jordan Matthews, making this team? I don't know.
I would venture to say no. The only thing I say running back fast. The only thing I'm saying I'll be very fast is I called this. I said that Tremble and Thomas would be your starters. It takes time to learn all the NFL blocking assignments and all the things that you'll be asked to do at a tight end. So to me, that doesn't surprise me.
Right.
And Terrace Marshall Jr., yet again, having another good training camp. Granted, he seems to do that every year, but he has made some good plays. Go ahead, CK.
I was going to say there is a potential that we keep 4 tight ends, but it's only in the event that Jordan Matthews is able to make an impact on special teams. This is okay. So how are we going to move on from this and not talk about Chuba Hubbard being the starter? And all we've heard is Miles Sanders' name.
That's my dog, Chuba.
I legit think that they're going to split this. I think they're 1A and 1B. I just think they had to mark this as like a first and second. Same thing with Mingo and Xavier Legette, by the way. I think it's less of a, Mingo is that much better than Xavier Legette. I think it's a 1A, 1B situation that it's just, that's the best. That's all they could do right now.
Agreed.
Tony, before the end of this season, you will say that Chuba Hubbard is a better running back than Cameron Artis-Payne ever was. It'll happen. I know it down in my soul, Tony Dunn. I know this to be a fact. All right, y'all want to move on to this defense?
Let's do it.
Yeah, man. So again, not too much surprising. I mean, for the most part, everything kind of checks out. On the D line, we have Derek Brown, Shy Tuttle, Ishawn Robinson, Jadeveon Clowney, and DJ Johnson. So again, EJ Wonnum still, dealing with coming back from the injury, the consequences from the surgery or what have you. DJ Johnson, they said that right now he's probably one of the best run stoppers on the team right now. And that's why we drafted him.
Another guy that was thrown that everybody gave up on completely because they saw him get destroyed in one rep. I know.
Yeah.
The concern with him is he's just old.
Yeah, he's older, but he's a little more mature.
Yeah.
He already has his man body. He just needs to learn how to use it appropriately in the NFL. And so far, I think they brought him in to be that bigger body run stuffer type of outside linebacker. And if he's filling that need and purpose right now, I'm all for it, man.
Yeah. And I think we got an answer from the staff today about what they think is our biggest issue. And I think it might have been a potential stake, maybe a nail in the coffin of the potential of bringing in Stephon Gilmore. We ended up using our first place area in the waiver wire and picked up a cornerback from Denver. It was a defensive back, so it might have been a safety.
Yeah, I think he was a safety.
Yeah. So, but you know,
I have that in the slide if y'all want me to pull it up.
Yeah, so I think it would be worth looking at to see where we think he would kind of fall in this depth chart and who's maybe the odd man out. I think Lamar Jackson may not be the guy on this team that's because just
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, we have a corner named
his name is Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, he's the one that every time you see a really good highlight from our wide receiver, it tends to be on Lamar Jackson.
Oh, okay, I got you. Well,
so
quarterback.
Is this the one? Let's see.
Yeah. All right. So Panthers added a quarterback.
We signed Jake Luton. And so this is something that was directed because of Dalton still being hurt.
And not wanting to play Bryce in the preseason games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kimiko Toure got put on the IR or something like that, I think. And
Kimiko Toure. I'm trying to see the name of the corner that we started
tight
end.
No.
I could have swore I had that. Well,
that's all right. Anyway. I can find it.
So, I know. Well, actually, maybe it doesn't answer anything about Stephon Gilmore. I mean, unless
Hayden
you're
Stearns.
Hayden Stearns.
Yeah, Caden Stearns. So I mean,
it might not answer the Stephon Gilmore thing, but it does tell you that the secondary is on their mind.
Yeah,
I think giving up that first round waiver or the first waiver selection was probably important, like you're noting. But I think he is a safety. Like, how many damn safeties does this team have? And I don't know any of them.
Yeah, it's a safety, and he did play under Evero, by the way.
Yeah. But let's go and talk about safety in that depth chart, actually, and see. I mean, Xavier Woods, definite starter, no surprise there. He is he's the quarterback of that defense in a way right now. They talk about him being like one of the smartest players in the league. Jordan Fuller starting over. Where is Jamie Robinson on this shit?
Jamie Robinson.
What is NCB? What the hell is NCB?
He is the nickel corner.
Nickel corner?
Yeah, nickel corner.
Third.
He is the third string. He's already behind Charles Smith-Wade. Yeah, I'm calling it now. Sorry, Jamie, but I do not believe that he is making the team. Dude, I remember he was like, "Oh, there's not 144 better than me," or whatever he was drafted, right? Yeah, it looks like that were. It looks like that were, man. And every time that we've seen him thus far, he has not looked good.
I've never even seen him. I don't even know if he exists, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've never seen him play at all. I can't remember it anymore.
What happened?
Yeah. All right.
Am I frozen?
No, you're back now. And I guess, did you say anything about
Tony's spinning on mine?
Oh, can you hear him?
Yeah, nobody's frozen on my end.
Okay.
I think I'm frozen. Am I frozen? Can y'all hear me?
No, you're not frozen.
I can hear you, Cody. Can you hear us?
Yeah, all of a sudden, all of you were spinning wheels for a second.
Okay.
There on the screen.
Let's see if there are any. I think I'm really excited about Ashawn Robinson. I think that could be. I'm hoping that he's going to need to be good. To be honest, if he's not good, Shy Tuttle and Derek Brown. I mean, I don't know how they're going to hold it down together with DJ Johnson behind him. Let's see. Are there any other? I guess there's some real Oh, Kayvon Chason. That's what we're rolling with. We're going. I don't think they're going to make changes to this defense on the front end.
I don't disagree. Yeah. I think especially when you see how it's happened, like how this defensive line has been eating our offensive line up. It's worthy of noticing that there is this defense. We've been concerned about edge and the interior. I think it might be our strongest position on the entire team right now.
Yeah. I agree. Just continue to look at those corners and see how they're going to hold up. Dane Jackson, JC Horn.
Worries me, man. I'm sorry. Listen, Kev is all, put some respect on their name. They're doing good, and hey, maybe they are, but I'm sorry, Dane Jackson. That worries me, man. That worries me. I'm sorry.
You don't even have a reason to say that. You just say it because you don't think it's good enough.
And you know what, damn it, I don't need one. Until I see this man actually hold it down, dude, that's when I'll give him his flowers. Right now,
that's your reason right there, though.
Yeah, but none of this training camp bullshit does anything for me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But he also has a negative
real ball.
He's pulling a Tony here.
Yeah,
he's just developing a negative taste for somebody just because you want it.
Just because I'm allowed to.
You're allowed to. All right.
Yeah, man. Any other? Troy Hill. Again, Dane Jackson and Troy Hill as starters.
Troy Hill's good, dude. I like him. And then we'll see if Jordan Fuller can be good. Because he's going to be, that's a name that was good 6 years ago, I think. He's kind of long in the tooth, too. So it's
I think Ashawn Robinson is going to be a great addition to this team. That
he needs to be
big and strong. And I think that he has the opportunity to really make some noise with Derek Brown. Oh, here's another thing.
What about Derek Brown? Linebacker? Oh.
Derek Brown has not taken one vet day. Not one. Homie is out here.
Is he the best player on our team?
By far.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah, I don't really know that there's anybody you could argue.
I think it's really cool to see him stepping into a leadership role, too. I feel like he's been vocal about Bryce. I think he's been vocal about trying to get this team. He's becoming a leader. He's becoming a known commodity among Panther fans. He's not just a big run-swallowing, run-stuffing defensive tackle that nobody knows and doesn't appreciate. He's really becoming the face of the defense.
Yeah.
And really a leader overall on the team.
Jadeveon Clowney has also sort of stepped into a role similar to that. And he's also looked very good during training camp. Again, it doesn't matter for much. We're just training camp. But, so far, I like those three pieces on the defense. Derek Brown, Ashawn Robinson. I'm really excited about this. And Clowney might be he might prove Kevin right yet, man. Kevin talked all that shit for 2 years about us signing Jadeveon Clowney.
Yep.
And he's looking to be worth it so far. And the final bit of depth chart, they have Eddie Pinheiro listed over my man.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Yeah, and it's also we haven't played one preseason game, so I'm not too.
I think Eddie's going to be the kicker this season. I think Eddie keeps the job. I don't think they have the guts.
Fucking mad, dude.
Well, here's the question. With this depth chart and everything we've seen, and it's funny because whenever we're talking about players, we talk about how great they've looked in training camp and what we expect from them, and then in the next breath we talk about it's just training camp, and so it's kind of weird with that. But with this, are we following the same pattern that the Panthers had before, where we're just putting the players who we know and we have at the top of the depth chart rather than the players that are more talented? You know what I mean?
That's the fear. I think that's the fear that we keep coming back to with kicker. It's the kick. If Mingo can be a metaphor or a symbolic of a turnaround for a good draft pick and building towards the future, if he has a good year, we're still trying to break the Harrison Butker curse, right? And that is, you really had Harrison Butker beat him out in that training camp, but you just didn't go with it because you didn't trust it. Mm-hmm. Greg, to answer, I think that if we're going to look at Pinheiro and Mevis, we could say, hey, is that one of those examples? I don't think it's truly the case, though. I think that Mevis is still young and has a lot to prove. But I don't know, Greg, is there any of those people in the depth chart that you feel like were over, given too much kudos to? I think it seems to be right based on talent and evaluation.
I think we're giving Deontay Johnson way too much credit. I've seen him play in the pros for years. He's a good
4 years. I think he's a rookie. He's only had 4 years.
He had 4 years with the Steelers. I think he's had some good seasons.
The knock on Johnson has been drops, and that has been something of a storyline in training camp as well.
He's also had only like one season. That's a spectacular season. Beyond that, he's been like a number 2 receiver his whole career. And then one year he was the number 1 receiver. Ben Roethlisberger was throwing to him, who just throws.
Yeah, I mean, I will have to see this is that he was a receiver though we could afford.
By the way, this was thanks to, I'll play this while y'all talk. Thanks to Panther Pickle, this is Robert Hunt versus Derek Brown, basically going after it.
Those are some mean, strong men right there.
Yeah. Well, this is my issue with the Deontay Johnson thing is we're talking about how he may ball out and go somewhere else. But if he does ball out and go somewhere else, then all we're doing is stunting the growth of the wide receivers we have now and giving Bryce hope in something that he can't have in the future. What's the point? What's the point in bringing a guy in to ball out for 1 year that you can't sign?
Well, number one, first, you don't know you can't sign him. That's not written in stone. The Panthers could work out a deal with him. The question is, do they believe that he's going to be worth that much? The second part is Greg, is that who cares? What you got to do is you got to get Bryce cooking. So you better give him some shit. All we did was complain last year about no talent. So you know what is even if he's a 1 year warrior, take it for the development of Bryce Young, and then you try to go out and continue to build towards the future. But if you give Bryce Young 2 rookie receivers, you said good luck to him, like he did kind of like last year. It's like, here, try to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. We're all just gonna. Then we're just in a bigger mess. So I think like if Deontay Johnson goes out and has 1,200 yards this season and 10 touchdowns, I think that's a good problem to have.
Yeah. I'm
not. It's all right. So what if he has to walk away? It's like, hey, you got to figure it out. But just thank you for your service and thank you for helping Bryce Young.
Right, but then the excuse the next year, if he does that, is going to be like, oh well, Bryce doesn't have Johnson again, and all he has.
Yeah, you're going to have Leggett stepping in. You're going to have Leggett stepping in. It's kind of like a natural cycle. So I just
it all just depends on what type of season Deontay Johnson has.
It really does.
If he could just be okay.
If he looks to be that number 1 wide receiver, and he really is the difference maker in this offense, then the whole point of having a quarterback on a rookie contract is so that you can sign the weapons around him. So
I think the greater concern, though,
good. If he turns out to be really good, in my mind, you have to break him off.
I think the greater concern, though, is him having a good season that commands more money because of the inflation, right? So say he's a really good number 2, but because of the time he's getting paid. The time is that he's going to command more money. I think that would be the concern more, is if he goes out there and is a number 1 wide receiver and is just balling out, then who gives a crap about how much money? The thing is do you pay him and he's just kind of good?
Yeah, and I think that also depends on the development of Jonathan Mingo and Xavier Leggett.
Yeah. Yeah, if you feel like how much you need to keep him, right?
Yeah, like if those two really turn it on and Mingo looks like the guy that we drafted him to be, and so does XL. Again, you can kind of foresee that Thielen is out the door, and if Deontay Johnson doesn't work out, then those 2 guys being on the roster, if they show some improvement, then that could also mitigate the blow when you do let Deontay Johnson go.
All right, let's keep rocking through the show. Don't forget, we're going to get to the cat call soon. The number's 252-228-5098. What's up next?
We're going to talk about our head coach having the most common sense of any Panthers head coach in a long ass time. I am dying on this hill. Why do any of you want to see Bryce Young play meaningless snaps in the preseason when you know that this season is so incredibly important for him? What do you expect to see out of 1 or 2 series of preseason football? Yeah, I know Bryce didn't look good last year. You're not telling me nothing I don't know, but you're not going to learn absolutely anything about who Bryce Young is or isn't based on a couple snaps in a preseason football game. Then do we all not remember last year when we were all like, oh, we're running the vanilla offense, and this isn't even the type of playbook that we're going to be running?
And it turned out that it was.
Right, but then now you're doing this thing where, oh man, then if it doesn't look good in the preseason, now because of last year, now we're panicking. I'm sorry, the Los Angeles Rams won a Super Bowl and didn't play a single preseason game. Dude,
Also had Matt Stafford starting at quarterback.
They also never played their starters in preseason football. Knowing the type of injury history that the Panthers have had, I don't know why anyone would want a chance at this. It just doesn't make enough sense to me.
I get where you're coming from. The only pushback I would have on that is if we're going to talk about how bolstered this offensive line is, how great Bryce Young is at not getting injured, and how much development he needs, then yeah, he needs to play some actual games to get better. I mean, I'm sorry. We're paying the guy. Football is a sport where you get injured. You take a chance to get injured every time you step on the field. And if you're only talking about playing two series anyway, then why not take the chance? You know, this guy needs development with his players. That's all there is to it.
Yeah,
And if he gets injured, he gets injured. I'm sorry, man.
It's not even really about the injury thing. It's like, how much development are you really getting by watching? Yeah, by watching 2 series.
Well, especially if that series is a 3 and out.
Yeah, and it's like, then it doesn't look good. Then we're wondering. Then we wanted to see more. Then we're looking why did it look so bad? Another thing that I have been a proponent of for a long time is during the season, you are going to have depth. You're going to have injuries throughout the season. Why not use the preseason as an opportunity to really test your depth, give everyone on the bubble a real opportunity to show themselves and put out film and actually try and make the football team, and you have battle tested your depth against other team starters, which is what they're gonna have to do.
Look, we're kind of conflating. We're kind of conflating too much into one thing. First, what it says is this: it says Bryce won't play in the preseason opener,
right?
And Canales said he wasn't sure if he was going to play at all in the preseason, right? So it kind of came forward. So they haven't made a decision about that. Now, historically, I've been of your position too, Cody. It's like, who cares, you know, especially when they're more veteran players, you know, but I also agree with you entirely is that playing just a little bit isn't really beneficial. You know, in some ways, it's like, how much does it really help you? In fact, we've seen this. We've seen the offense last year. They were only going to put Bryce Young in for a series, and the series went 3 and out. So they trotted him back out there because they were like, can we actually leave this on a good note? My thing is this: I don't mind. I don't mind them not playing him at all. But there's kind of a risk you take there, right? Not a risk. Is that game, the first quarter of the season opener is your they're going to have to knock the rust off. I mean, there's no matter how hard you're training in training camp, it's not the game. So like and we've seen teams and a lot of teams that have done this really struggle in the first quarter of their opener, the first half. It takes them, you know, getting some dirt on their jersey, taking a hit, getting confident. I don't like the idea. The only one is I'd like for him to play like a whole half in game 3.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
right. It's like really get this guys, like get these guys.
No, I could not disagree with that more, dude.
Cody,
either or. To me, it's either or. You either play a significant amount in game 3 of the preseason, or you don't play at all. I'd rather have one of those than just say, hey, we're going to play one drive.
My last point, and then I'll let Greg go off, is I would rather start out a little cooler and finish a little stronger rather than taking the chance of getting all beat up before our season even starts. Like, I understand you don't play scared, but to me, the amount of data and information and readiness that you would be acquiring from even playing this is like, it's so minimal to me.
Yeah,
First
could it
of all-
benefit the coaches with their communication with the players? They're
Right.
gonna have to learn this. Is like we have a brand new coaching staff, a guy who's never been a head coach. We have nobody on this team that has proven. I mean, I think the only person that shouldn't play is like Jadeveon Clowney and Derek Brown. Right? There's so much. I mean, the benefit is just hopefully development.
Cody, I would agree with you with the starting cooler thing if starting cooler guaranteed you finished hotter, but it doesn't. Okay. And secondly, the argument that you need to see the depth of fill out your depth chart and figure out who's going to be on the team. If you only start Bryce for 2 series or a series in this game, you're still going to get plenty of time to check out the rest of the team. So I think those two arguments kind of fall on their face there. I mean, they don't really have anything to do with each other. Look, you need this guy. He has not earned the right to not play football right now. You talk about the Rams, how they won a Super Bowl. Yeah, they had the #1 wide receiver in the league. They had a Matt Stafford at quarterback who's already proven himself, an offensive line that was legit. When you have players who have proven themselves, yeah, okay, maybe you give them a break. Maybe they don't need that time to knock off the rust because there's no rust there. But with Bryce Young, he is yet to prove himself to be a #1 quarterback in this league.
There's a part of this that we're also missing, and that is Andy Dalton is hurt, right? And so the idea of potentially having your first and your second string quarterback hurt starting the season out is no go. Like, you don't do that. Like, that's just not something you can do. Now, I understand your point, Greg. I want to see Bryce Young play too. I'm not of the mind of Cody that you don't, play them at all or anything like that. I don't think that's I think you're right. They haven't earned it. That just like he hasn't earned the right to not be in the team hotel because he hasn't been playing for 4 years. Mm-hmm. So I still think that there is a part of this that is like, okay, he needs to be able to prove himself still from what we've seen, because we haven't seen enough to say that, he is the guy. Mm-hmm. However,
there's also no choice, though. He is the guy because nobody else is the guy on this team.
Yeah, no, it's a valid point. I mean, it's a valid point, and I think everybody has a valid point here. I don't think that anybody's wrong, and I think history shows that nobody can really prove one person is better than the other person with this decision.
Call me a little bit
benefits
jaded,
and it's benefits and risks
history that we have had in recent years with injuries, and like you mentioned, Dalton's already hurt, and we know how important this season is for Bryce, y'all. It's so incredibly important. And if you want to say that, maybe it'll cause Bryce and the offense to start out a little bit hotter, fine. But if you're talking about a fraction of a degree hotter starting the season, again, in September, it's like it's the risk is not worth the reward. It's just not enough to me. I'm not, apparently a bunch of people disagree with me. Somebody from, I believe, what is this, Panthers Insider? This is from John Bueller. He wrote an article, Panthers are giving Bryce Young preferential treatment he hasn't earned yet. One would think the second-year quarterbacking coming off of a terrible first season in the league would welcome all the first-team reps he can get. That may or may not be the case for Bryce Young, but guess who is not going to be playing in Thursday night's preseason game versus the Patriots? That would be the face of the franchise. As head coach Dave Canales said he was out. There's a chance Canales may not play Young at all in the preseason. God, I fucking love this dude. We all know the penultimate game is the one where you have to watch closely. Young and other starting quarterbacks in his shoes would not be playing much, if at all, during the preseason game in a few weeks. However, to hold Young out there is clearly work to be done, should have the Panthers feeling a certain way. So my point here, and the point that he's making, is that he hasn't earned it, but it doesn't matter. Like, that's our guy. Our entire season is riding on this dude. If you want to say he hasn't earned it, fine. He's not about to earn it in the preseason.
The penultimate, all right, so I had to look up penultimate. I don't know if that works in the three preseason. I think game 3 is now. When do they put the starters in? It used to be game 3.
Yeah, I believe it's 3.
And then we'd have the 4th game.
There's only 3 of them.
There's only 3. Penultimate means second to last.
Right.
Yeah.
So that would be preseason game 2.
Great,
It'd be at Bears, yeah.
Great C3 bomb by Ryan Boyd says for the 199 says, please tell me what determines what is earned. For real. Like the dude is the starter. He doesn't have to earn it.
No, he's the starter because we put him there. I can put somebody in a position doesn't mean they've earned it. You earn it whenever you carry a team and play football.
He earned it through being drafted number 1. Like you're not, how about this? Is nobody else is beating this mug out?
Yeah, there's no quarterback competition.
I mean, I don't
And
know.
if
The one
there
game Andy Dalton
is-
played last year, he threw it. It was a lot better than Bryce Young did.
Greg, even if you
Even we go
or
0-17, he's still the starter.
if you do or don't
I
want
agree
a
with that.
quarterback competition, there isn't one. That's the starter. That's the guy that we're running with. So in my mind, to me, I don't know. I'd love to for once be on the same page as the coaches. Like for once, I'm not arguing for what the coaches should be doing. I'm arguing in favor of what they are doing. So I'm happy about it.
Yeah, I just I think the benefit you look at this as, it's kind of like risk analysis.
Yeah.
What are the benefits and what are the risks? And there are different benefits and different risks for every one of those scenarios. And we've kind of talked about them in different ways. To me, it's not about, like, somebody put this in, I think it was Girth that said this. He said, I'm not asking him to earn it in the preseason. He just needs game speed reps. And to me, it's more about the continuity between getting Dave Canales working with the starter in a game, working with his starting players in a game before week 1. I mean, I think it could almost be best for the coach, better for the coach than it would be for some of the players in a way. Because think about like how different it's going to be when you're calling an entire game. He's going to be calling all the plays. So he's got to spend all his time working on these bum players. You're going to have a quarterback that can't do the things that you want to do when the game time comes around, when season 1 comes out. You're going to have a bunch of scrubs out there that can't do what you want to do. And, I mean, does that help him as a coach get a feel for being a first-time head coach as much? I don't know. I think the risk has less to do. The risk is with Dave Canales. And the benefit is with Dave Canales.
I understand. I'm kind of out on a hill with this. I'm in the minority on this issue. It's fine. I understand that. But to me, like all of these things, they're just excuses.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not going to be upset if it happens. They don't start. I'm not going to be like, "Oh, this was a terrible move."
Yeah,
We're just trying to.
I'm not saying that I would be upset, but I'm saying that the idea that if we come out and we don't start hot, that it's because we didn't have the proper preseason reps to do that. Like to me, that's just improper preparation.
Well, we could just suck. If you don't start hot, we could just stink.
So also keep in mind, college football teams, they don't have preseasons. If you have to open the season at Alabama, you're not having another scrimmage with another team before you play Alabama in week 1.
True.
So
that's why college is good point. Good point.
All I'm saying is that the notion that you have to have a scrimmage and real playtime snaps against another team in order to be prepared for your season opener, that is 100% flawed, in my opinion.
Well, then you shouldn't have preseason at all then.
I think that's an argument a lot of people have.
Yeah,
the commissioner Roger Goodell wants to do away with them completely.
Right, but not for that reason. He only wants to do away with it so he can extend the season and make more money.
Which
I know that's true. It has nothing to do with player safety.
I would have more meaningful games. I would love to have more meaningful games than the preseason sucks.
It does.
It really does. The only reason we watch it is because we got this damn podcast.
It does. So why even tease anyone with starters? Use it to battle test your depth.
That's exactly right. It sucks because they don't put starters in.
Yes, that's why it sucks.
Right. So then why try and put a cherry on top of a turd? Let it be a turd. Use it as an opportunity to have all the film and information possible on every single player that's on the bubble on your team.
If you didn't do this podcast, would you watch this game?
Fuck no.
You
But yeah, I
wouldn't?
would. No,
I
I
would just
would.
see
No, I
Panthers
would.
football.
I'm
Yeah.
enough of a super fan.
I mean, I
that
would have it in the background probably, or watch the highlights on YouTube the next
And by
day.
the way, C3 bomb from AJ Brooks with a 499 says there has not been a better quarterback in our camp than Bryce Young.
But yeah, that's the dang
Well,
truth.
that's 100% true.
Yeah.
All right. What do we want to do next?
You want to do some calls?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey man, listen, if you would like to interact with the longest running Panthers podcast on the internet, all you have to do is leave a message on our cat calls line at 252-228-5098. Let your voice be heard on the C3 Panthers podcast.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
What's up, guys? This is Chase from Anderson. And the injury bug is hitting hard. The injuries are piling up. And from what I'm hearing and seeing, the offensive line, even with the new additions, ain't doing too hot. I don't know why people seem so excited, so surprised or think it's big breaking news that Bryce Young's not playing in the first preseason game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like 98% of the NFL teams don't play their starters week one, the first week of preseason anyway. So I don't know when that's a big deal. I would say that how great or brag how great the Tuesday night shows have been lately, but I can't tell you when the last time that was uploaded to the streaming services, man.
I know I was slack. I got them all up late this week.
Y'all don't like me no more. That's all I get to listen to. If it's
We're traveling. We're traveling. It's my fault.
I'm so sad. I'm heartbroken.
I'll be better. I'll be better. Do better, Tony. Do better. No, I think that the whole conversation on the preseason has kind of gotten conflated into like the first game doesn't matter. But not doesn't matter. Like, as nobody thought Bryce was going to play in game. We look around the league; they didn't play. The Bears didn't play the rookie in game one,
right?
Of the preseason, and also, I don't think it's crazy for them to have the position that they're not going to play Bryce at all. I don't think it's ludicrous. We're just kind of been throughout the show talking about what are the pros and cons of both. Because last year I said don't play him at all. So I see the benefits of not doing that. I think people are getting kind of twisted because the Panthers put out he's not playing in the preseason game one. And then there's this other article that's been floating around that says he might not play at all. And they take that whole conversation and just mash them together. So anything else? Nope. Next call. Appreciate your call, and I'll do better.
What's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. Hope y'all boys are having a good Tuesday.
What up, Ant?
We got our first, semblance of Panthers football coming up Thursday. Should be definitely, exciting just to see the team back out there. There's a lot of talk on Twitter and, in the C3 community about, preseason. And I just kind of want to break down my thoughts and see what you guys feel about it. So I honestly agree with Bryce Young not playing in preseason. There really isn't any point. I'll just put it this way. I think it would be a more negative outcome if him and the starting offensive line did play and we didn't see anything good from them. I think that it would freak a lot more fans out, and especially after last season with the whole vanilla offense thing. Really, you just don't learn anything from preseason. Like, there's no point for him to go out there for 2 drives, throw for like 50 yards and call it a day. Greg said it last year too. Like, oh yeah, Bryce Young. He isn't doing anything in these preseason games.
Well, he was stinking.
That some of that translated to the season. So it's like I'd rather if we're playing poker, I'd rather wait for the river to flop before, we go all in on anything, if that makes sense. Like, I'd just rather get surprised in the season than, get doubtful right now, which in all honesty, this is why I'm remaining neutral with an open mind. Just sit back, crack open a beer, get yourself a cocktail, smoke a little Mary Jane, and everything will be okay with this team, man. Like, it's really not that deep. We kind of know what's going to be playing out this season. But I do want to bring up this point real quick. So this offensive line, I mean, I've only really seen like 2 clips of the starting offensive line, all 5 of them together, and they've done good. It seems like the starting offensive line has given Bryce time to make good throws, and we've seen that in practice. But it feels like it's just 1 or 2 of them are out. It's like the offensive line completely collapses. I mean, I've seen, and maybe this is just a credit of Jadeveon Clowney playing above. Maybe he's going to play above the standard that we expect from him this year. And Derek Brown just looks like he's going to take a monster year. I don't know what it is, but this offensive line better get its act together, because as much as I want Bryce Young to succeed, the offensive line is paired to his success. Like, if Ike Kwanu is stinking it up, they need to replace him by like week 5, if that's the case. Anthony from Charlotte, give me your.
Thanks for the call, Anthony.
I'm still worried about Icky, boys. I really am.
Sure.
Icky, probably even more so than Bryce, is the one player I need to see it from this year. Like, again, I never said that I'm doubting someone, because if they're a Panther, I'm pulling for them. Like, I want every single one of these dudes to shatter our expectations, okay? But I've always had doubts about Icky and pass protection. And even, again, it's just training camp. But he hasn't looked great early in training camp. And he didn't look good last year.
I don't know where these... and maybe I'm not watching it as close as
you're probably not watching it. There's been a couple of times where it's like, dude, what are you even doing out there?
I feel like this is that a lot of the concern with the offensive line is just Panther fan PTSD.
Sure.
Yeah.
Where we're just scared of having a shit offensive line because that's all we've ever had for forever. I don't know how you can. I mean, is there really a lot of evidence that the defense is just working these dudes? Or is it just like, oh, well, there's Icky looking like a fool on that one play. And then, oh, look, Derek Brown looked good on that play. And then you take those 2 things and you say, oh, the offensive line had a shitty day.
We're going to find out. I mean, dude, would you like to see Icky in preseason? Like, I mean, is that another one of those scenarios where you're like, okay, let me see what you have?
Well, that's a great question. Is actually maybe not with him, because do you even have anybody behind him? But here, somebody put this up. It said somebody said, "Oh, we don't really learn anything in the preseason." Well, guess what we did is we learned last year. Look at how shitty that offense looked throughout the preseason, and guess what? You learned that they weren't just holding something back; they were just shitty. So maybe you do learn about the team. Now, Anthony, going back to Anthony's call, he said there is a risk you put Bryce, and this happened last year. I'm pretty sure if we went and looked back, like as Bryce came out there and was like 1 for 5 or 1 for 8, and all of a sudden this, like, it did create this question, this panic, right? So Anthony's talking about the potential of you put your starters out there, they don't look that great. And it creates a panic among fans and the narrative that things aren't really great in Carolina. That's one side, but the other side of that coin is what if Bryce goes out there, goes 5 for 5, marches down the field, touchdown, take him out after that, and you walk into the season going, man, look, this team is heading the right direction. So I mean, there's 2 sides of that story.
I agree with you for the most part. To me, I'm just like, I don't know. I side on the air of caution.
Yeah.
And I really do think that if you do your best and you prepare in training camp, and Tony, I know you're like, they don't do anything in practice.
You watch them. Like, you watched them. Did anybody really fucking doing anything?
To me, it's the combination of the film room, your film study, and the proper motivation from your coaches to know what you need to be doing and how you need to be doing it. And I think that if we have that, then I'm not losing sleep over preseason, man. I know a lot of people want to see it.
Yeah,
and
I'm not gonna lose sleep over it either.
Yeah, and I also agree with Anthony's call. Like, it's also too early on to really be panicking. Like, boys, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a very long season. Like, save your energy, folks.
Well, there's a lot of people. There's a couple of people in the chat that are really anti-Bryce in here. So you tell me this is how you think that conversation and around Panthers Twitter is going to go if Bryce went out there and went 1 for 5.
That's why I don't even want to chance it.
But if he went 5 for 5, that would be, I mean,
I know, but you know what I say about this?
There's the benefit of playing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it could create excitement. It can create confidence in some of these guys too. As Bryce, no matter what they say, he's still no matter what perfect world or what the perfect words he uses, somewhere in that guy's mind, deep down somewhere, are some degree of concern. It would be foolish. Imagine, does any fucking human, even the most confident, not have any concern about, or self-doubt or something? I think it would be more ridiculous if Bryce, you just said, oh, Bryce can shrug that off entirely. I don't even think that's realistic for anybody to do. Now, I think people can do it better than others. Right. So I'm not saying he's got high degree of self-doubt, but wouldn't it be, what would you be? Would you be a sociopath or a narcissist if you had zero doubt about yourself?
Yeah.
Either that or just one of the most confident people ever. Like, Muhammad Ali had some of the biggest self-confidence ever. Like, if you don't believe in yourself to a high degree, you don't.
Yeah, I believe that you believe in yourself, but it could be like 99.9%, and there's got to be somewhere.
Well, believing in yourself doesn't equal greatness.
Yeah,
you can believe you're a great person. You can believe you're great at this, great at that. It doesn't mean you are. Now, talent is where it all comes from. What bothers me the most, I think, about the argument about Bryce not starting is the injury thing, because I can't stand hearing that. Because, like I said, this is a contact sport. You know what you're going into. Injuries can happen anytime.
But if you lose your quarterback, dude, the whole season's fucking over.
You're right. But what if you go into game 1 and because Bryce hadn't played the whole preseason and he has a bunch of rust, and because of that, he gets injured game 1? Then we're in the same damn spot. Look, man, you play what you've got, and injuries be damned. If you get an injury, you get injury. No team that's won a Super Bowl has won a Super Bowl with a ton of injuries on their roster.
Well, I'm just
it just happens to be you have a good year in injuries.
I think we just all came to the conclusion that we just don't need a preseason. If there's these risks of getting hurt, if there's all this debate, blah blah blah, just take the shit away and start like college.
Go back to the last 5 Super Bowl winning teams. How many of them would tell you that any of their success started with the good things that they did in the preseason half of the
schedule? I will say, we do celebrate Baltimore. Isn't like Baltimore like undefeated in the preseason for like the last 9 years?
Something. All I know is that the Los Angeles Rams never played their starters, and they've lost the Super Bowl and won a Super Bowl in that time.
Matt Stafford, I could hear that argument if I had Matt Stafford playing quarterback, but I don't have Matt.
Or if we didn't have the preseason, we wouldn't have to have this debate.
Yeah,
there would be no debate.
Dude, I'm done. Do away with the whole thing.
I'm with you. I think you convinced me on that, just so I don't have to talk about it next year.
Yeah, I'm into
it. How about this? Do you think it's more of an indictment on the coaching staff or what they've seen from the offensive line?
I don't know.
How do you mean? Explain your question a little bit
more.
My
point being is, if they're like right now, the only thing that makes sense as to why Bryce is not playing is because you're afraid of him getting injured. That is the only reason you don't play him right now. Like, you can't give me any other argument that makes sense as to why you don't play Bryce Young in the preseason. And that is that you are concerned about a potential injury because of getting hit, right? Yeah. There's just no other logical reason not to do it. Even Cody's argument is why risk it? There's no value in doing so. Why risk his injury?
And by the way, quarterback, linebacker, like all of your starters that you know are at the top of your depth chart, I'm not starting any of them. So
Right.
I can.
So my point being is, if they're going to be, because let's be real, they are going to start starters. So this is going to be a quarterback reasoning behind it. This is not going to be a benefit that they're giving to Deontay Johnson. I'm sure he'll be out there. This isn't going to be a benefit that they're giving to Josie Jewell or many of these. Maybe you get JC Horn and Xavier Legette. That way they're not dealing with that. No, I'm saying not playing those guys because of their injury history, right?
Right.
So, but if you're not sitting every single starter, that tells me you have a concern, especially with a guy like Bryce who does not have an injury history. Your concern is that your protection will not hold up. And if that's the case,
this takes one failed play.
Well, one failed play, but at the same time, that's all it takes in the regular season as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, but like, do y'all remember? But do y'all remember when Cam Newton literally tore his Liz Frank on a non-contact play? Like,
and he could have done that in practice too. So should you not practice?
But
I'm with you.
Dumb shit happens,
and that was in a first game.
And it's that dumb shit seems to happen at a pretty high clip to the Carolina Panthers.
Sometimes it seems like though some of these injuries come from not playing hard.
Stop.
Like, I mean,
or the terrible.
They used to do fucking two-a-days in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? People are running around playing with them concussions and stuff. I'm saying this is like we saw some of the soft tissue injuries that Christian McCaffrey would get or something. It seemed like it was because it was no matter what, like no matter how intense your weightlifting and training is, it's not the game, right? So it's like, so sometimes just because you're in super physical shape, that doesn't always protect you, and because they're very controlled exercises a lot of times. I don't know. I mean, it would be interesting to see, and we probably get Strats on this, because since he's a data scientist, is like, do players not playing in the preseason experience a higher clip of injuries in the regular season than those who did?
There's arguments on both sides of that, and there's data that supports all of it. Like, that's the problem. Is there is no clear conclusion on that, because what will happen is you look at the Jets last year. They didn't play Rodgers in preseason, and guess what he did? Game one, he got hurt.
This thing snapped on its own.
Yeah,
right.
But all of those plays are so ticky-tack, though. Like, again, is he going to be healthy if he does play snaps in preseason?
But that's the point. That's the point. Is like, it's your argument. Like, there is no data that supports either side whatsoever.
Yeah. Or there is data that does support both sides.
Right. Well, what I mean is there's no conclusive data.
So this is pretty much like, do you prefer ketchup or mustard with your hot dog?
Sure.
Or what data are you prioritizing? I mean, I'm just wondering is there could be something, is like you could find some statistics that support the idea that, like, how about this, is more padded practices in training camp? Like, if you how about if we went and looked at, because they took away a lot of the padded practice, the full contacts. I mean, if you go back to the 90s, they're doing 2-a-days, or the early 2000s, they're doing 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. And I wonder if you could look at some data to find out, this is like, while that was all meant to promote player safety, are there injuries, are injuries happening at a less or higher or the same rate from 20 years ago to now? And then the other would be what CK said, that there's data on both sides. The other is, like, we could talk about how some of the rule changes, how they took the headhunt, like the big hits across the middle away and stuff. Yeah. But a lot of people have said that what that has done is just change the type of injuries you get. So you go from head injuries, which we all are very sensitive about, but now our people are going at the knees and
your ankles and your shins.
Do you know what the biggest career-ending injury in the NFL is? What stops players the most in the NFL?
Achilles?
No, turf toe.
Oh yeah,
turf toe is the biggest injury killer in the NFL. More players have had to stop because of turf toe than any other injury in the NFL. Listen, man, stop treating these players like Fabergé eggs and start treating them like wrecking balls.
That's wild.
Seriously.
Is that really real? Turf
Yeah.
toe or for real?
I think
Yeah.
he just laughed
That
at that
almost
injury
sounds
because
made
they're
up.
like,
I
your
believe you.
toe. You know, it's like I think it's like,
I
oh,
haven't. I heard that somewhere. I don't
Okay.
have necessarily.
I was about to
yet,
say that sounds.
but look
maybe a
what the
little-
Liz Frank injury
I'm gonna
does.
check it out.
You know
All
what, Greg? Because you said it, I believe it, dude.
right, let's go to John B. Jenkins and get our European football update.
Hey guys, it's John B. Jenkins.
John
here
B.,
with
what's
your
up, brother?
European League of Football update and an update on your favorite team in the league, the Panthers Froschlaw.
The worst.
Quick update on that. Just honestly, my interests are shifting more towards the OG Panthers. But our upcoming opponent for this weekend, the Berlin Thunder, did lose to the Paris Musketeers. So
The Musketeers,
that puts us in a good
Paris
spot
Musketeers.
for a playoff hunt because we're going to have a head-to-head up against the Thunder this weekend. We did beat them in the first go-around. Anyway, there's your Panthers Froschlaw update. I did want to just say thanks one more time to Cody, Pickle, Diesel Skills,
Yes, sir.
Colby, everybody who was on the show on Friday. You guys were just so welcoming, and y'all really
Yes,
made me feel top notch. It was a blast, man. I don't know if I'll get many opportunities to do that in the future, but it was so much fun being able to talk Panthers football with y'all. But we had a really awesome conversation about the UFL style kick that they'll be doing in the NFL. You know, if you didn't see Friday night show, go back and watch that. It was really good conversation on that kick and how it's, you know, got a potential to change the game. Really probably make, you know, Amir Smith-Marset shine as a returner. So anyway, it was just a blast. Anyway, that's about all I got for this week. Hopefully the Panthers Froschlaw will beat the Thunder and they'll continue their playoff push. But hey, we got a game coming up on Thursday, and even though we're not going to see Bryce Young, it's still the Carolina Panthers. So as always, keep pounding Carolina Panthers, keep pounding Panthers Froschlaw, and keep pounding C3. John B. Jenkins.
Pounding. John Jenkins, that's our boy. We appreciate you, man. You were awesome. Emma Levita. You were awesome on the Friday Free for All, brother. We hope to have you more if you're able, man. It's always open to you.
I want to address this comment. RMJ. He said, bro, if you lift more, you ain't going to get hurt so easy. What is this dude saying? He's talking to me. It strengthens bones and muscles, even if it isn't the same exact as the game. All right. One, I'm not saying you shouldn't train. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you shouldn't train. Right. What I'm saying is that training with just bench pressing or doing it doesn't necessarily guarantee the same strengths that you need at sometimes. Right. Because look, Navy SEALs don't and they're the most fucking crazy people on earth, but they're not extreme in weight training. You know, they have different things they emphasize. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be exercising. I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm just saying this is we've seen mugs that are really good looking in the gym. And then we've seen mugs that ball out on the football field. And it doesn't, just because you're a gym rat doesn't mean that you're necessarily, those skills are the best in translating into success on the field.
Yeah.
There is a case that you could be overtraining. We could look at J.C. Horn, Christian McCaffrey, or you could just go back to every time I see somebody coming off an injury and they're fucking badass in the offseason, I'm like, oh shit. They're putting those videos up, and then they get her. John Beeson coming off an injury, this badass motherfucker, and he put this video up him running on the beach. They had bands and they're holding him back and he's climbing. I was like, oh shit, John Beeson go everybody up this year, and then boom, hurt again. So I mean, like, you could almost Christian McCaffrey, it seemed like, and he's actually changed some of his training regime. It seemed like his training regime is more oriented towards running back shit than just being a badass. So
Yeah. Also, to add on to your point too, I think a lot of guys, or not a lot of guys, but there are some guys that add a lot of muscle to their frame, and if you add a little bit too much muscle too quick, your body is not used to carrying that, so it's like not as functional too. So sometimes the joints and stuff don't carry the extra weight as well. Every player is just different, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are some guys who weigh nothing that never get hurt, and then there are guys that are built like tanks and they're hurt all the time.
I used to love and this is what really made me hate the damn draft and all of these. I was in love with Kevin White. Wasn't that his name? The wide receiver out of West Virginia, went to the Bears, and he just looked like a mutant. He looked like Xavier Legette.
He could never stay healthy, right?
Yeah, just always hurt. Always hurt. But he was he looked like he spent a lot of time in the gym. So again, I'm not saying don't trade. I'm just saying this.
That's why we were also worried about Xavier Legette posting those videos of him hauling ass on the treadmill and shit with Deebo Samuel before the start of the season.
Yeah, you're like, hammy. What's the hammy? What's the hammy?
By the way, a day or two ago, he left practice early with the foot injury, and thankfully it turned out to not be anything serious.
Still day to day.
Hope it's not
still day to day, man. So.
Oh, they were seeing if there was a fracture in his foot.
Yeah, but it turned out negative though.
I don't know I think I saw him kind of in training camp one day, kind of, step on it a little fun. Like he went over there and he was kind of looking at it and he just played through it. I wonder if it's like something that's been bugging him. All right, let's go to D from Sanford.
Yo, my C3 family. D, Sanford, North Carolina, a.k.a. C3D Money. Shout out to the great Tony Dunn, the homie Cody Lack.
This guy makes me feel so good about myself.
C3 Legion, C3 family. Keep this short as possibly as I can. I've gotten a lot of feedback in the last 4 days. Guess I'm not a very too much like person in the community for other reasons.
How?
What?
Like my favorite person.
Yeah.
Well, I possibly can't be the person. I've been getting it all weekend, inbox, different platforms. So I'm a sellout. But I'll find a virtual couch for all of that at a different time. I'm excited
who do I need to fight, brother?
Preseason. I didn't have no high hopes on Jake Plummer, but just to get an idea to get to see him now, that intrigues me.
Yeah.
The rookies, that really does intrigue me, just like mightily. Just a lot of the guys that's fighting for spots, the DJ Johnsons and so forth. Jatavian Sanders is probably going to get quite bit of a look, and I'm cool with that. As far as the depth chart with Legette, I just didn't think none of it. Let the man fight. Give that man something to work for. Let him put in the work. Like I had made the statement before, it's obviously got to be a good thing that with the first round receiver that we picked up, that other receivers stepped their game up and worked on their game in the off season to even put him in a situation to be the second string. So I think that's a beautiful thing for our Carolina Panthers. And then also in the same breath, Bryce not playing. It's just not either here or there. I don't think there's no wrong answer.
Right.
I think it's more we want to see him take snaps more than we just necessarily need it. And if his O-line is not out there, the full O-line is not starting, then I don't want to see him out there, quite honestly. Hey, I love every single one of y'all. Y'all get the likes, y'all get the subscribe, get them to 6,000 to the longest running and greatest Panther podcast in these YouTube streets.
Appreciate you, brother.
Money. I love y'all. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, great call, D.
There we go. I was waiting for it.
Also,
hey, to anybody calling my man D a sellout, y'all gotta see me, bro. D is one of the coolest people ever, man, and we let everybody talk their shit about Panthers opinions, man. If y'all got a problem with D, y'all got a problem with me, man. He's the homie. We all love that dude, man.
I have some theories in the background of I'm not gonna say of why people might be suggest. First, D Money. There are gonna be times where people argue with you on the internet over football for just to argue. Right. I've been that person that's been arguing. I've gotten that person that has argued with me. As you continue to build, in some ways, your brand through, like, on this show, right? Because you're a brand ambassador, like, people know you. You're gonna have to just deal with like not caring, and it's hard. It's really hard when people are coming out telling you stupid or not. I don't know what they said to him. My theory about what he's talking about with the sellout is that he's getting flack for being so hot, being a big part of the C3 Legion, and like he should be.
Well,
with
but also
another
it also depends on
podcast
what
team.
it also depends on what we're talking about. Because look, and Greg knows this. There are some players on this team, which is wild to me. We have not won enough for this to be true, but we have some players on this team that fans will just fight to the death for. And even players that are not on the team anymore, like a Brian Burns,
Yeah.
like McCaffrey and DJ Moore. And I feel like on the free for all and in the Legion spaces, for the most part, we're all like, it's time for everybody to earn this shit,
Yeah.
But also, if you're not on this team anymore, we're not gonna gas you up and talk about you like, oh, we're so much of a worse team without you too. So,
and it's so much as this is people have already made up their most people. I read this book recently, and it was about changing your mind and how changing your mind and being mentally flexible and nimble is like an evolutionary good thing, right? If you can be someone that can accept new data and change and adapt your viewpoints, you have an advantage in this world. But the book is also suggesting most people have a hard time doing this, is that they have made a set of beliefs up, and it's now, to them, it's like not abandoning those beliefs, even in the face of new information. So this is what people do for politics. The kind of crazy thing is that we do it so passionately about sports, right? And it's like, there are people that have presupposed and what they believe about Bryce, what they believe about whoever, Jadeveon Clowney, and it doesn't even matter what the data is coming in. They'll find a way to just, what do they call it? Verification bias. Like you're just looking for shit that, So, I think that's just it's like it's also a human attribute, or at least a groupthink attribute in other ways.
But like, to me, this is the funny thing. Like, somebody's so positive, like D. Like, we know that dude was just being the coolest, dopest, friendliest, most positive dude. And it's like, if he is getting shit, then that no one's off bounds, man. Like, it's almost like an indicator that you're doing something right.
Yes,
more and more haters like that, man.
Well, the other part to what you're saying there, Tony, is a great point, and most people can't do that. But if you can't do that, at least be able to not hate somebody because they have a differing opinion from you. You don't have to necessarily even agree or anything with say, but at least don't what's the word I'm looking for? Bash somebody because they have a difference of opinion. We all have differences of opinion on here, and I love all you guys. That's why things get along so well. Now, there may be some times where y'all change my mind, and likewise, but hating on somebody because they have a difference of opinion than you is really dumb.
The other thing I learned this, D, with when I was doing the written articles for the website. The other thing I've learned about the internet is nobody really cares what your position is, and how much information you have. They're ready to just tell you what they think. So, like, I would write these articles, right, and somebody would just say something about the whole thing, but with never even opening the article, right? It's just like, well, hey, I'm going to talk about this now. So I do have an idea. I want to build a website that's just headlines. Like, you just open it up. Like, you're not going to click it anyway. You could be like, Donald Trump sucks, right? Or something. You can do whatever it is. You pick your headline. They're not going to read the shit anyway. So just go ahead and talk about the headline. Right. That's what you want to do anyway. All right. D, you're the best. Let's go to
shout out D.
Evaluations on Bryce start week 1.
Preseason does not determine anything about how successful you're going to be in the regular season. We know that he's capable of operating
I
in
love
a
Kev.
offense, capable of doing whatever they ask him to do. He understands how to read defenses. He understands how to prepare.
Does he?
There's no need for us to put him in a preseason game when we already have our second string quarterback, our backup hurt.
Oh man, he's agreeing with you totally. I love this comment from Kev. He said, "I disagree with Cody all the time, and even though we don't agree, I still hate him."
You fucking asshole. Kev is drunk in a hospital tonight.
I know. It's like, what is he? You know what? Is he just pre-planning for when he's going to get injured?
Yeah,
he's like, you know what? I'll just get drunk at the hospital, then I won't have to go anywhere.
Yeah, he said he had to spend the night. He had to spend the night there last night for something.
Probably because the hurricane's coming.
Yeah, they couldn't get it. They couldn't go home. I think because they knew that they were shutting down everything.
Yeah, like they didn't want
not
to
coming. It hit them hard.
They don't want him to go home and not be able to get back.
Dude, my mom sent me an article from the New York Times. Says Hurricane Debbie swept up cocaine worth of $1 million onto the Florida beach.
Yeah. I saw a video. It's crazy.
How much?
Why can't I find that when I'm walking down the beach? Why is it always got to happen to somebody else?
The only thing I have to ask that caller is, he claimed that Bryce already knows how to do this and Bryce already knows how to do that. Where's the proof that Bryce already knows how to do that? Because 11 touchdowns and 10 interceptions last year is not proof that Bryce knows how to do that. Now, playing in a preseason game may not give him that, like make him snap all of a sudden and be able to do it, but any reps do help. That's my only point. Like he has not proven that he knows how to do this stuff yet. Anybody who says that, you're lying to yourself. I'm not trying to bash Bryce Young, but he has not proven it yet. There is nothing on tape that's shown he's proven it yet. So let's get that one.
I hear you. I'm just saying none of that is being proven
in the preseason.
No, but it can help to take reps. I'm not saying preseason is going to prove that, but it can help to take reps.
Both there's validity, there's strengths and weaknesses to all these arguments.
Oh, absolutely. I legitimately, I don't think anybody can sit here and say that either Cody or Greg are wrong.
Right.
You
just like you could. Remember with the analytics in the Super Bowl, what they asked about Kyle Shanahan, and they asked him if he was, is even the analytics are debatable. So we sometimes wrap ourselves in too much confidence with different things. It's like, there's strengths and weaknesses to all of these things. So, all right, let's go back to the calls.
What's up, fellas? This is Ronnie from Memphis, calling in as a true diehard Carolina Panthers fan.
Appreciate you, Ronnie.
Excited about where I see Canales taking Bryce. I think we're in a position where we can really see improvement. We can really see change as far as scheme, as far as what they're expecting from him, as well as the confidence they have in him. So that's where I am right now.
All right.
Hey, appreciate it. And he got
killing it tonight. He's been awesome.
Let's go to Christian.
What's up, gentlemen? Christian from Arizona. Hey, so this Bryce Young not playing thing, I have a question. If he falters, is the excuse then that he didn't get enough snaps in the preseason? And then
if he starts slow,
what happens if we see another quarterback playing really well? Have a good one, gentlemen.
I saw somebody put up a hot article on this, and it was like, what if this guy looks really good? It's like, is Bryce gonna feel? I was like, no, don't worry. No, like, we don't have to worry about all of that. You're gonna be worried about them not being able to protect it on the practice squad. That's what you're gonna really do, is see if you see any of these. Let's see. Let's go to, I think, we might have had one from, we got one from earlier today.
Yo, C3 fam. You know who it is. It's your boy, Josh from Math.
Josh, what up, baby?
Been busy. Married, house. Work, all that other fun stuff. But when we cut to it, and I think y'all are going to be chopping this up tonight, and it's all over Panthers Twitter as of today. Well, there's a couple things that are on there as of today. But first thing, right off the jump, what do y'all think about Bryce not playing in this preseason game? Now, I'm obviously, part of me is a little bummed because I'm going to that game, so I was hoping to maybe get a look at
understandable
somehow this offense is going to work, somehow it's going to run. I mean, obviously they wouldn't be putting nothing on full display, but I was just hoping to catch a little something, see how Bryce's cadence is coming along, how his rapport with the offensive line is coming along, how they're holding up, although they don't look so great in camp. They look downright not great. That or maybe the defensive line is just really looking that good. I don't know. Hard to tell in
That's
camp.
the hope.
So there's that, and then there's also the Kay Adams interview that came out this morning or earlier today, and Bryce talking about the off schedule throws and all this and the off platform and like how that stuff's built into this offense is like he's just really glad that they're letting him be him. They're letting him play his brand of football. And, what takeaway on that? Do you think that was the problem with him last year, is that he wasn't able to play his brand of ball?
I think it's a great, this is what we're talking about from this
at times like he was being just kind of shoehorned into this offense that was made for a quarterback who's just going to stand in the pocket and just throw the ball and that's it, and not swing out or not move off platform or be inventive at all with what's going on. And then I was going to say, you want some kind of impressions from the Thursday night preseason game? Me, my wife, and our boy Nick Montiero, we going up, check out the game. But I don't think we're going to be able to glean too much from it. Maybe we will here or there, but we'll see what we can see. But I don't think it's going to be nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
Hope y'all are doing well. Good to see Greg back on last week. Ain't been able to be on the YouTube, but been able to listen the next day. Josh from Mass, I'm out of time. Keep pounding, fam. Out.
Keep
Josh
pounding,
from Mass. We missed you, brother. We missed you. We're glad you're back. Well, not
You
back,
and Nick.
but it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Nick will always message me a little, just something about life.
Oh, dude, Josh and Nick came to my house one day, man.
Yeah.
Those are my people. Those are the people. We love those boys.
Let's talk about that offense question.
Let's do
We
it.
talked about the preseason enough.
Right. So
go ahead.
Yeah, I can even set this up. So I can't play the clip because it's NFL Network stuff. I'm pretty sure they'll clip us. But Bryce Young was basically talking about, in more or less words, that Dave Canales is giving him more freedom to run outside of the pocket and play off platform. And again, I know I'm beating a dead horse on this a lot, but I have maintained that last year Frank Reich and that front office did not want Bryce in that offense, and that they preferred CJ Stroud, and they got Bryce Young, and it looked like Bryce was, a fish out of water because that offense wasn't built for him. I don't say that as a slight. I say that because now I feel like we're finally putting an offense around Bryce that he's more comfortable with, and they're letting him move outside of structure, moving out to the side, finding guys downfield, and he feels like he has more freedom in the offense under Dave Canales. That's one of the reasons why I love the hire, because I felt like Dave would tether this offense to what Bryce does well. And I feel like we're already seeing that, as you're able to see on screen right now.
Yeah.
Going back to last season, though, and like they didn't let him, or what I wouldn't say I don't know if he used those words, they didn't let him, is that they didn't have a plan. Every plan was abandoned from week to week to week. So it was like, we want to run the ball, and then we throw it 60 times. Then we want to move this guard around. It was just panic move. There were too many cooks in the kitchen, it seemed like, and there was no real identity. I think this is what you get with Dave Canales and why he was ultimately got the job. is because his identity is cater your player's strengths.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like so don't hold. And there was some things like it even though Frank Reich said that Bryce was so crazy smart and they were putting more on his plate than they would a regular rookie at one point in training camp last year, they had some, they tried to confine that team a little bit in a way. I don't even know if they tried to confine it. They just weren't any good. So like this to me just sounds like, hey, you've got a guy who's got a coach who can speak and encourage in a way that Bryce feels comfortable.
Right.
Rather than, did I get something wrong? Did I get something wrong? You know, and stuff like that.
This is the absolute best argument for anybody who's pulling for Bryce. And this is why I feel like there's a chance that Bryce could still end up working out well. Because, look, I think that the offense last year was built for a different quarterback. And
I mean, it was built for like a Frank Reich quarterback.
Somebody in the franchise, I'm just saying somebody in the franchise stepped in and said, no, we're not drafting that quarterback that we've built the offense for. We're drafting this guy because I want him.
Nicole Tepper.
Possibly. Well, yeah, we know the name definitely ends in Tepper. Let's put it that way.
Exactly.
But I think that's the best argument. And let's see if Bryce has an offense that he can run better, that's better fit for him. He may be able to thrive. That's a really good argument for why he played so bad last year, other than being a rookie. But, if you go into an offense that's not built for you at all, it's going to be tough to play,
Yeah. I agree.
I like that.
And I think that, how often we were talking about how Bryce Young was in shotgun, and when you hear defenses describe how much easier it is to defend against the shotgun formation than it is under center, it's mind-boggling that they didn't make more of an effort to make under center a priority. And here we are in training camp, and that seems to be like the primary, focus of this, coaching staff is making sure these guys are running more than just under center. So we'll see, man. We were all optimistic about what this was going to look like last year. I'm hoping, and just based on what we've seen so far, it does seem to cater this more. What we've seen in camp looks more like Bryce Young from Alabama than what last year did. Last year looked like they were trying to make him sit in the pocket and try to make sure he just trusts his offensive line, and not really allowing him to do the things that are necessary for him to be able to do what he was always considered to be great at Alabama, and that is making those off-schedule plays. We didn't see that as much last year. And that's something that I'm hoping we're going to see a lot more of, because we have seen it so far in camp.
I checked around with a few guys and I said, okay, we're going to keep it 100, right? Am I saying that right? We're going to keep it 100. Is that right, Bryce? Am I good?
Yeah, 100 without the R.
Handy.
Okay.
Yeah. How can you not thrive after this? All right. I like Frank Reich. I feel like it was just such a just complete disaster. Well, it wasn't. I don't feel like it. I know that. All right. Let's talk about my man Julius Peppers hitting the hall.
Yes, sir.
Look good in a gold jacket. Oh, somebody in the chat said this was earlier in the show. They said they work beside Canton, and he said that Julius Peppers got off the bus wearing that jacket. It was 5 feet away from him. He said, "Look real good in it."
Yeah.
He had a cool speech. Did you get to see some of his speech about believing? He said, "You might not all of us can be great on the football field, but we can be great. We can be great. Like you can be great as a teacher. You can be." Oh, he said, "Not everybody can be a Hall of Famer." I think it was on the football field. He said, "I'm a football Hall of Famer." He said, "But you can be you can be a Hall of Fame teacher. You can be a Hall of Fame father." Yeah, it was like I was getting chills, dude. I love Julius. I love Pep. Pep, I love you. And I'm also sorry for all the stupid fucking Panther fans that gave you shit for taking plays off. Stupid shit I've ever heard. Not taking plays off. It's playing chess while these other assholes are playing checkers.
This is my absolute favorite athlete of all time right here.
Me too.
I love this guy, man.
Me too.
Absolutely love this guy. Followed him since college, man. UNC, it was just everything about him is fantastic. His character, his play, everything.
Yeah.
Love this guy.
By the way, can we also just say one of the most badass names that a Panther or that an NFL player has ever had?
You like it? Just
Julius Peppers.
I know.
But if that's not a strong name to match a strong man, I don't know what is.
I
dude.
know.
Shout
He's so
out to
mild
Julius.
mannered and I tell you what. Not only is he one of my favorite athletes, Greg, or not, he is my favorite athlete. I'm just like you. He's my favorite player of all time. Him and that black visor back in the day.
Menace.
Yeah, it was just like, oh shit. It was just scary seeing that mug out
Darth
there.
Vader coming to force choke
Yeah.
my ass.
All right, so this is from David Nicole Tepper. Congratulations to Julius Peppers on his well-earned inductions to Pro Football Hall of Fame. As a dynamic as Julius was on the field, he's even more special as a person and represents the best of the Panthers and the Carolinas. A fierce competitor who was selfless and extraordinarily driven to help the team win. There's no one more deserving of this honor. No, I mean, and look, not only is he just super good person and he statistically is one of the greatest football players ever. Like, I mean, this isn't the Panthers' first Hall of Famer that had to wait 2 times to get in. Like he was the guy on the list that was getting in no matter what. Like he was the most, man, this dude deserves to be there. He's like 5th in all-time sacks, played a fucking great career, didn't have a terrible problem with injuries. And also, I think it's because of his personality that he was also probably underappreciated by the larger football world at times.
He wasn't loud. Yeah.
Right. Like, because he's mild-mannered. He's not giving a lot of great, he's not, think of like a Deion Sanders or something, is like the bombastic and stuff.
Right.
It's kind of wild that he's like a teddy bear in real life, but on the football field, he's a fucking grizzly bear.
Holy
You know what's funny, boys? That a lot of newer Panther fans who maybe, really caught fire in 2015, their first memory of Julius Peppers might be him as a Packer denying Cam Newton the football.
Oh, yeah. He threw it away.
Yeah. I feel like there's if you're an OG Panther fan, Julius Peppers. But if you're one of the newer ones, you might not. That might have been your first introductory to Julius, was him being a dick to Cam Newton, who was an MVP at the time, But shout out to Julius, man. Happy for that dude.
We're curious. You know what? I would love to hear about that story one day from him. It's like why that was. He was his homecoming. Panther fans were real shitty to him while he was at the end of his time here, and then they felt like he left it. Well, he did leave us, but Peppers is the reason I'm a Panthers fan. I didn't have a strong allegiance to NFL football, period. Like when I was starting to, what got me into NFL football was ultimately fantasy football was starting to come out, and I was working at a restaurant, so they were like, "You want to be in the fantasy football league?" I mean, I like sports. But Pep was going into the NFL, and I love Pep. I loved him as a football player in college. I loved him as a basketball player even more. I followed his basketball career probably more than I did his football career when he was in college. I knew a kid that played against him in high school, kind of a cool. And I said, wherever this guy goes, I'm going to cheer for him. I didn't say I was going to become a fan of that team. I was like, I'm going to cheer for this guy. And then he was drafted by the Panthers, and I was like, you know what? I need a strong commitment. This team is right here in my yard. Like, let's go. It's perfect. It's like what Cam Newton did for you.
Yeah.
All right, what we got next? Let's power through.
Yeah, let's power through some of these.
We're about done.
So, I mean, this is all just just Hall of Fame talk.
Can we talk about? It's not about Cam Newton. We've talked about him in the Hall of Fame argument plenty, but can we bring up that video of him smoking that dude in college football? And then
Yeah.
Do you need me to find it? Or you got
it? I got you. Greg sent it in the.
Cam Newton, I definitely tell you this, is if he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame as a quarterback, you can put him in as a running back. I mean, when it comes to the amount of touchdowns, there's not. I actually would love to hear from some real football heads. Like, I need to ask my friend CW this. Is there a greater short yardage threat in football history? In football,
No.
yeah. Like if you were on it's 4th and goal on the 1. Is there ever a guy who has been more deadly at that? I mean, maybe you say the bus. You know, there's a few players
Maybe
out there.
Marshawn Lynch.
Possibly Hurts.
I think he's the number one, the greatest goal line threat in the history of football. All right, so is he playing with Alabama?
No, he's playing with I think South Carolina.
Okay.
He's been playing in South Carolina a lot.
I think he's playing with Alabama in this clip, though.
Okay, let's see. We'll see. We're about to see.
Nah, I want double. See, in order to play me, you gotta have double, because you know what I'm saying. When I go crazy, then what?
I play for 50.
Say that.
After this game.
I don't know, maybe I was wrong. Yeah, he's playing with South Carolina. Yep.
Oh
Now listen to the.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, that boy man.
Whoa.
That boy man. That boy man.
Oh, I can't hear it on here. What did he say? I can only hear Cam. Yeah, I can only hear Cam.
Yeah, I couldn't hear what the guy said, but because I
thank
tried
God,
to listen to it
he
myself.
dropped a hard ER.
Yeah, and then said something about fried chicken or something.
Yeah, it said smelled fried chicken, called him the N-word, hard ER. It didn't even seem like Cam knew.
I think he knew. I think he just didn't even want to acknowledge it. Because he said, look, he mad. Oh, Cam. Imagine getting to play against Cam Newton in a video game, number one, and then you getting like that. What a dick. All right.
So stupid, man.
What's next?
Is
that it? I think we're about done, right? No, we got anything else?
So
do we have
do we have what?
Do we have the question of who's the next Panther?
Yes. Who is the
Steve Smith?
Some of the Pro Football Hall of Fame candidates to come up.
Brian Khalil's not going in the hall. Do you think so?
No.
No way.
I mean, I
guess Jordan Gross should go in before him.
Oh yeah, I think Ryan Khalil will eventually go just because of how many Pro Bowls he has. But yeah, other than that, he's not going to be. I don't think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame in the first 10 years of his eligibility.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Smith is getting in. That's it. He should have got in this year, but there was just too many wide receivers. And Luke's going to get in, and Cam should get in. I think those are going to be the order. I think Luke is eligible next year. He's been retired you have to be retired for 5 years. All right, next.
Has it really been almost 5 years?
Yeah, 2018. 2019.
I remember that day. I was so devastated hearing that news, man. You want to talk about falling apart? Oh my gosh.
Just the roster moves.
Okay. Nothing really here. We already talked about that.
Yeah, we're done, dude.
All right, awesome. Look, it's been a great time tonight. A lot of support in the chat. I like the diversity of opinions. We got some people in here going really hard in the paint against on both sides of these arguments. Not hard in the paint, but and I think like CK said, that's the thing is none of this is objectively right or wrong. Right. You know, so we've got some cool stuff when it comes to Bryce, hopefully evolving as a player. I tell you what, he does great is he does that. I love when he is on the run and he's running towards the line of scrimmage and he throws like he is accurate on that. It was really cool seeing him in training camp do that. All right. Don't forget, we'll be here on Friday. A lot more content will be coming out. I will do better about getting the podcast on the audio platforms. That was me. The traveling, the working out hotel, you know, and stuff where like I'm just not as good at it. So I got to get back in routine. And routine starting Thursday. We're not doing post games for the preseason, are we? Please say no. Okay.
Tommy, you tell me, man. Like, it's
I don't know. Maybe
you're the boss,
depending on what we do, we might want to. We could do a watch along maybe for the first quarter. I don't even know if I want to watch it.
I'm down to do something, but I think
I'm not opposed to that, but I'm not. I'm not interested in like being up at 11 o'clock.
Oh, hell no. All right, let's get some ice some fools up and get on out of here.
All right, man. Time for the longest running segment on the longest running Panthers podcast in the history of the internet. This is where we tell anyone and everyone who needs to hear it to toughen up get your act together, ice up. This is our homage to Steve Smith.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
Longest running segment, longest running Panthers on the longest running Panthers podcast. Time to ice some fools up, toughen up, get it together. Who you got? I know you guys got some stuff this week because I need a moment because I'm unprepared for this.
I don't have any videos this week.
Oh, nice.
I do have an ice up.
Okay.
So Spartanburg, South Carolina, annually has their Best in State awards every year. After 13 years, our very own Monster Subs and Grubs won the award. But get this, not only were they not invited, they didn't even receive their award.
What do you mean?
I was messaged this by PJ himself. They won the award,
but they didn't tell them.
Even invited to the awards, and they still haven't received an award that they have won. Spartanburg, what are you doing, man? You have authentic Italian subs right there in Spartanburg, in the form of Monster Subs and Grubs, and the disrespect, bro. Ice up, son. And if you're ever in Spartanburg, do yourself a favor and go to Monster Subs and Grubs in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Act like you got some sense.
It's really a gym.
Incredible sub, man.
It's almost fucking odd, to be honest. Like, how is there this deli in this place in Sparkle City?
I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna give C3 some credit for. I mean, you got to give credit to Monsters, to Monster Subs because they're great. But I think that last year during that training camp, I think there was a lot of people, high profile people that went there because we went there.
Nice.
And I think that's a part of what happened. So I'm happy that we had, we were able to, at least in my opinion, help that maneuvering into getting that type of an award. But that is messed up that they're not getting that to him so he can display it there in his nice little shop there.
Yeah, don't disrespect the Paisan. And Tony, I lied. Your bastard son, he sent an ice up that is definitely deserving of an ice up. All these riots are going on in the UK. And this one dude thought that he would save everything with dancing. And he had to find out the hard way.
Well, if you're going to stand in between rioters and cops, you should expect friendly fire from both sides from the battle. Now walk away like shot to the ankle. Involuntarily cut, blocks the rock. He now enters the walk of shame with a little bit of pain. Come on, man. You're old enough to know better than this.
Oh, dude, that's crucial.
That's
man,
wild.
I up to that guy, man.
What
You don't need to be dancing to try and solve all the issues in the world, brother. Come on.
All right. Who's next?
I'll go. Mine's real quick. I don't want to name drop because I don't think it's worth people getting the attention. I have, one thing that I know we talked about it. This isn't a video. This is just something that I think is important. Cody obviously goes, he has his opinions online, and people believe that we've learned this during our time in training camp this past couple of weeks. Like, people have an outlook that C3 is this anti-Bryce, all of this stuff, right? Without actually, it tells me a couple of things, right? When you have an opinion that C3 is something, you're not clearly paying attention, right? You have no idea that we have a diverse, a set of opinions when it comes to the people on this podcast. So when you are on the internet publicly stating that C3 is a, anti, Bryce podcast, that they have no positives to say about Bryce, just because you don't like what Cody has to say about Bryce Young, or Greg has to say about Bryce Young, tells me it hurts your position if you're somebody who has this mindset, because you aren't actually paying attention. It tells me that you're only reacting to what's happening on the internet, and that is it. You see one
or
tweet,
what you already believe.
You see one tweet. Maybe you see a few people from C3 that have that follow in Cody's footsteps when it comes to the opinions he has. But to have the mindset that C3 is a hive mind is just a very simple approach to life, or anything really. So I would just, with anything in your existence, I would say approach it with the mindset that not everything is what you think it is or what other people tell you that it is. Maybe do your own research so that way you don't hurt the position in which you hold, which I agree with, which is that Bryce was not given a fair shot. You're hurting that position when you try to pretend like everybody from a certain group is in disagreement with you. It's just not the case. So I'm icing up those people on the internet that were going after Cody and C3 saying that we're anti-Bryce without actually having any evidence of the case.
Yeah, ice up. In fact, I'm just going to follow on your footsteps on this one, and not that I really even care about this so much, but I do get. It's like making it's judging a book by its cover. It's like making a judgment about a movie without seeing it, right? So people just have these. Obviously, they're not watching the podcast, and they haven't watched it enough, or maybe they've only seen one little bit or tidbit, and then they make a whole judgments off this. But my ice up is going to go to this is. We were hanging out when we were doing our live show from Resident Culture. We had some cool people come by and get on the mics, and one of them said this is C3 has been described as the radical right, crazy conservatives of, and I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I am arguably too liberal.
Yeah, which is funny because literally 3 of us have probably never voted Republican ever before. And
Since I was 18, yeah.
Yeah,
it's like he called it. He said, people think you're the right. No, what was it?
It's right versus left. Yeah, it was basically. It all stemmed from, at least the perception from outside looking in is it's the belief that it's C3 versus 4-man rush, and what they look at. It's not even opinions that we have. It has everything to do with our appearance and their appearance. And so they believe it's a white versus black, right versus left. And again, it's we're back at that exact same position. People are putting this
they're doing it to label. D from Stanford now.
Yeah. They're putting a label on people because they look a certain way, or they act a certain way, or they talk a certain way without actually having any evidence to support that claim. Cody and Monty will go back and forth against one another, but they rarely ever talk about politics and disagree.
No, and I'm the type of person, I never take shit personal. The reason why all those people are so fucking cornball is because I always keep it football. If you don't like my takes on Bryce, that's fine. Everyone has their own logical explanation for why they believe the things that they do.
Right.
But we don't talk politics. And it's like we were saying earlier, man. Dude, in the year of our Lord, 2024, if you ain't got haters, you probably ain't fucking doing it right. So, look, I am proud. I am so proud of what we all have built on this pod, the community that we have built. Yeah. And, bro, if you ain't rocking with C3, I got big time fuck your energy.
Well, or I don't care. I mean, I knew as soon as the way you were talking and describing your call, I knew exactly what some of these people were saying.
And I want to know who was telling it. If you can message me, I want to know who was telling it.
We know what they are calling the sellout part, and that's
and that's so fucked up, man.
Not about football. It's not about football. Let's just say that.
No, bro, we have white fans, black fans, Mexican fans, fans from the UK. Like, bro, we don't fuck with that political, racial bullshit, man. We're a Panthers.
I hate everybody equally.
Yeah,
I don't care. I hate white people. I hate black people. Just like, I guess probably somebody clip that. I really hate some people in this world, right? I shouldn't hate anybody.
Hey, I'm just saying, I don't give a damn.
I hate all people. I hate all people equally. Equal opportunity hater.
I don't give a damn how you vote. I don't give a damn who you think the Panthers should have drafted. Bro, just be cool to people, man. That's all. Fucking, that's it.
All right.
Quit bitching about stuff that doesn't matter and virtue signaling all the time.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
another
and go work out or do something. Fucking take your head out of your phone for
Like
2
Greg-
seconds and go live.
Greg's been
know,
fucking iron, man.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Sometimes I tell people, just live. You know what? Live. And you know what? Sometimes it's just easier to not pay attention to the fucking news. And you know what? And you know what? The world hasn't changed. The same shit's going on, but you got less stress. So if I can go for a walk, people, and let's walk on out of here, Cody. Roll us on out of here.
C3 Nation, C3 Legion. Until next time, keep pounding.